The best of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, preparing you for a better week ahead. It's Memorial Day in America, when we remember military women and men who sacrificed their lives in service to the United States. The origins of Memorial Day go back to the Civil War, which, when it ended in the spring of 1865, had claimed 620,000 lives, leaving the American South ravaged and broken, even though the Union was preserved. And what sparked the Civil War? In the 1800s, as the iniquitous and barbaric system of slavery, then in its 200th year, raged on, some Northern Americans were condemning slavery. President Abraham Lincoln and his Republican Party were against slavery. At least, that is what it was back in the 1860s, which is not what it was in the 1960s, during the time of Democratic President Lyndon Johnson, when the Great Exchange, as I call it, happened, when the racist Dixiecrats of the Democratic Party balked at Johnson's support of civil rights, and the South, originally pro-slavery and democratic, big D, remained pro-Jim Crow but became Republican, and the North remained anti-Jim Crow but became Democratic. Now, these are generalizations, but they capture a kernel of truth. Those Republicans who today boast about being the party of Lincoln have no blooming idea what they're talking about if they remain focused on cheating black people out of voting or against measures that stop white police from lynching black men without a noose or a tree but with their guns and their fists, or deny that America is fraught with systemic racism and white supremacy. But back to the Civil War and Memorial Day. Because the industrialized North was not as dependent on slavery as was the agricultural South, where black, enslaved human beings were central to the South's economic prosperity, blood prosperity, if you will. It was easy for the North, generally, not totally, to be against slavery and hard for the South to be against it. The North's constant drumbeat against slavery served as a threat to Southern prosperity, privileged prosperity, white prosperity, and white privilege, driven all the while by a good religion corrupted in white supremacy to accommodate the evils of enslaving blacks and treating them as subhuman. This was the central reason for 11 Southern states seceding from the 85-year-old Union, and for President Lincoln to declare war to defend the Union he had sworn to protect. One cannot, therefore, meaningfully commemorate Memorial Day without reflecting on war. Even though the Confederacy surrendered and the Union won, the cost of wars in human life can never be considered worth it. National and world leaders must always seek alternatives to war, starting with avoiding the stupid, selfish, shallow, or sinister decisions that provoke war, and electing leaders who love justice, abhor war, and seek diplomacy. Even though the Civil War was won and the Union remains intact, the racism that fomented the Civil War remains the overarching elephant in the American room. We may have union, but we still don't have unity. You can tie a dog's tail to a cat's tail and throw the two of them over a clothesline. You will certainly have union, but you may never have unity. Memorial Day encourages America to remember her military personnel claimed in all her wars, from the Civil War right down to the Afghanistan War. But given its origins, the day should also challenge us about how we view and treat human beings, all human beings, of every skin color, language, heritage, culture, social or economic status or religion, as equal stakeholders in this thing called life. In the final analysis, in this world we are all siblings who would have a better shot at peace and prosperity if only we tried to live like siblings. This Memorial Day 2021 connects in a second way, however, to the scourge of racism. 100 years ago today, Greenwood, a neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma known as Black Wall Street, where, as the name suggests, black residents had built a thriving city that was prospering in every way, was attacked and burnt to the ground. 1,300 houses over 35 city blocks were razed leaving 1,800 people homeless and over 300 residents, still some of whom aren't found or are being discovered in mass graves today. All business owners, all black people were slaughtered by not just white people, but white government people. Police, firemen, teachers, school district superintendents and city superintendents, politicians, and church people, some who became the active arsonists and murderers, and some others who might have stood by not preventing it. Despite 100 years of official cover-up and denial, America cannot erase the memory of this wickedness. It remains a stain and evidence of America's original sin, racist hate, white supremacy, and vile wickedness baptized in the murky waters of a hijacked and corrupted religion. Oklahoma wants nobody to forget the Oklahoma City bombing of 1995, and we should not. But they're doing nothing at the same time in the name of total justice to address the crimes of 1921 and compensate the victims. The only thing worse than doing evil is to cover it up for a century. This from a part of America called the Bible Belt. I wonder if a message that I've read somewhere in that Bible isn't addressed to some of these churches saying, I know your deeds, you have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Any American church or city sitting at ease in Zion, while injustice rages around them, declaring in God we trust, or so help me God, or God bless America, must stop the charade, begin confessing all their sins, and make restitution for all their wickedness against those people they've enslaved, lynched, robbed, displaced, disadvantaged, hated, and denied justice, and still do. Only then we shall know that the God they're talking about is the one that decent people everywhere else talk about, not the one they've created after their own image and likeness. I'm 𝗍𝗶𝗶𝗃, and for black people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I hope your week has just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Monday all the way to Friday.